What's going on, everybody? It's Rev. Welcome back to the channel. Today's video is kind of scuffed because I wanted to create a video of me and Doe going through the Gauntlet Game mode, which is kind of like the recent content or the newest content. Unfortunately, the audio got a little bit scuffed, and so instead I'm going to be talking about the Gauntlet Game mode itself. Kind of what it is, what I like about it, what I don't like about it, maybe some feedback, and just reminisce on a few things because I think it's worth talking about. I think it's a good piece of content, and I do just want to get some thoughts out there. Doe did create a video of us just kind of playing the game mode how I kind of wanted to create a video, so be sure to go check that out if you are so inclined. But the Gauntlet Game mode is the solution to Dauntless's like lack of guild-based content. Finally gives purposes to guilds in that it's kind of like a tower-based game mode, like how a mobile game does it. Like, you know, you do a fight and then you go on to floor 1, floor 2, floor 3. So in this case, it's 5 behemoths, and then that's floor 1, and then you go up to the next floor, and then it's another wave of 5 behemoths in a different structure. It's placed in the old Ramsgate map, which old players will find that really cool. It's like totally destroyed. It has some like buff locations around. You can like refill your potions at the old place where the bosun was, and you can get like a cool damage buff where Will's used to be. And so like all those old locations that were like meaningful to the players that have been there since like day one will recognize things and kind of like nod and smile and say like, oh, that's pretty cool, you know, I remember that. So I appreciated that. The locale is cool. You can tell it's not like the same. They put a lot of work into making it look destroyed and different and fresh. And you know, if you're an old player and you're playing with a group of new friends that are trying out the game, and be like, yeah, this is like the old hub from the game, and you can kind of talk about it as like a conversation piece, which is cool. So yeah, 5 waves of behemoths. Sometimes you can get dual hunts, and sometimes you can get legendary keystone behemoths from escalation, and you know, you could get like Malkarian and Torg in the same fight, which is kind of interesting. You can't really experience that in any other location in Dauntless, so there's some uniqueness, not entirely new. You know, Dauntless is kind of hard pressed to find uniqueness with all the game modes. Like you know, at its core, it's just fighting behemoths. You know, you do that in the hunting grounds, you do that in escalation. It's kind of hard to mix it up in that regard, but the combinations are different. The game mode has a timer. You get more time for breaking behemoth parts and killing behemoths, similar to trials. There are modifiers with like an overarching, I guess, theme in this season, or like in the current floors that I'm on. Your health just like slowly declines over time. Like you're just constantly losing health, and you gain health for hitting behemoths. So it's relatively deadly, but not enough to be like super oppressive. And the reward for all this is this game mode is how you get access to the most recent cells of the game. So this is, you get a currency every certain amount of floors, and you use that currency to buy a few things. You can get some trackers now. You can track like break parts. It's like gun trackers in FPS games. There's a bunch of different ones. They're all isolated into one particular weapon, so there's a lot of grind there to get all your weapons with trackers in them. But you also get the latest season of cells. There's like usually 3 new cells, and they have a theme, and this is kind of how they want to like introduce the new cells to Dauntless. So it will be the Gauntlet Game mode. You'll have a season for however long, and then once that season ends, those cells will go into the cores, and a new season starts, and new cells are introduced to the game. So that's pretty cool. I thought that was an interesting take on how to introduce new cells, but it gives them time to think of like meaningful cells. So that's kind of like the game mode in a very short synopsis. I'm sure I missed a few things, but that's kind of it. You know, slaying behemoths, you get new cells, and you know, you're just climbing up and up and up. It goes upwards to like floor 200, something crazy. So there's a lot of content, a lot of grinding. And the cool thing is your guild, if like someone in your guild is grinding and they get to floor 50, and then you're in that guild, you can go to floor 51 and grind up to floor 100, and then you can kind of like leapfrog off of each other. and catch the progress that your guild has gotten. I'm a solo player, so I'll be doing it all solo. And, you know, sometimes maybe I'll be like running with Doe or something, but for the most part, I'm going to be soloing and just seeing how far I can go each season, and that'll be interesting. So that's my content. And that kind of feeds into one of the things that I actually like. So the things I like about this game mode is that it's structured relatively like escalation, like without the power creep of amps. Escalation is kind of like what peak Dauntless is for me. I really enjoy escalation. I think it's really fun. And with a recent conversation that I had with a community manager, they let me know that escalation is like actually not played very much by the majority of the player base, which is kind of sad. I kind of feel like escalation is like where the game just gets blown wide open. There's so much to grind for. The reward is like vast. You get legendary weapons, you get a huge amount of EXP, and then you open up heroic escalation and you can get cosmetics, you can get a bunch of stuff on the Slayer's path, and like, you know, EXP banking, and the reward is very vast. And I think that is where the game is the most fun. You get to experience really great power creep, and you just feel really powerful and just start blending behemoths, and that feels really good in a game like this. And so it's structured like that. There's a ton of floors, a lot of content. It gets stretched out pretty far with 200 floors, 200 plus floors. I'm pretty sure it's like 200. The challenge is relatively feeling for me right now, even though I'm like on floor like 5 or something. The challenge feels right for me, like playing solo, like by myself. It's like, it's not too hard where it's like kind of just grueling. Like it doesn't feel like Trials where I'm like resetting every single time. But it's not like mind-numbingly easy where I'm just feeling like, God, it's just a slog going from floor 5 to floor 200. Like, here we go, long grind. It's engaging enough, and seeing how fast I can go and making sure the modifier doesn't kill me. It feels like it's enough. I am going to see if I can get up to even like floor 200. Maybe it just kind of outscales a solo player, but we shall see. And that ultimately brings me to the things that I don't like about it. And honestly, I don't really have like too much to say negative about the game mode. The fact that it's kind of like, this is Dauntless, it's kind of hard to like repackage fighting a behemoth however many times. Like Monster Hunter has the similar problem. Like there's not a lot of game modes in Monster Hunter. There's just very little that you can do in a game like it. I don't know any game that is in the hunting genre that has pulled off like a brand new game mode that's just super cool, right? Like I think of all the boring things in Monster Hunter, like fighting like the big body monsters, like loading cannons, walking around, doing rampage, like tower defense style. Like you're not even in there, you know, half the time. You're not even fighting stuff most of the time. You're just like aiming a reticle at a big target, and it's not very fun. So like repackaging content in these games is very, very difficult. So like I guess that's a negative, is like it's not super new, but it feels good enough. So I guess this is kind of like a neutral point. It feels good enough. But my negative thing about it is the reward doesn't really feel like it's there. Getting early access to cells is really cool, but when going back to escalation, you get tons of EXP. In this game mode, you want to be like max level and, you know, ready to go, like ready to rip through all these floors, because it's a longevity. Like floor 5 will have a coin, floor 10 will have a coin, floor 20 will have a coin, you know, it just keeps going, and the reward is like very thinly stretched out across these floors, where every escalation you're getting escalation EXP, you're getting Slayer EXP, you're getting legendary weapon parts, like some of the best weapons in the game. You're getting a very unique experience, you know, the first time you do shock escalation, the first time you do flame escalation, the first time you do frost escalation, all those experiences, like you do like one floor in this game mode and you're just like, okay, this is the map, this is what I'm doing, this is the modifier, etc. But escalation offers just like so much more as a harder game mode on top of it. Tons of unlocks on the Slayer's Path. Great way to level up, like, beyond, you're getting your reforges up. It's like one of the meta ways to level up. So I don't know. Escalation offers a lot more while being more fun, and having the cells just kind of be like the carrot on a stick to drive you beyond that. The trackers are cool. I'm probably not going to invest in them pretty much ever. I just don't really care about that stuff as much as I used to. I'm sure players will find them interesting and cool, but just between like the trackers and the cells, it just doesn't feel meaningful enough. If there was like some cosmetics or something for reaching like floor 200 every single time, that would be cool, but that's also a lot of effort for a game mode that's probably not going to get played even as much as Escalation, which is already a very thin amount of players. So that's kind of like my one negative. But so going into like old Ramsgate made me think about kind of the Dauntless of old, and most patches make me do this. And one thing that I do want to say is, if this game mode dropped on the launch or like console launch of Dauntless, brand new behemoth on top of it, like you wouldn't be able to see it until like floor 10, floor 20, floor 25, something like that. Like you needed to get to a certain floor to experience the fight for that behemoth. A new season of cells, and like this game mode would have been so sick if it dropped when the game was healthy and had guilds that are very, very active across multiple regions. This game mode needed to be in the game so much sooner. That's just kind of like an old time player saying like, damn, this is cool, and it could have been even cooler, but ultimately it just feels like a little bit too little too late. And that's kind of heartbreaking, but it's also like, I'm glad they did it regardless. Like they promised guild content like way back, and it finally came out. It came out very late. I think it's a good piece of content, and I'm going to continue to do it. But yeah, so that's where I'm going to kind of sign off on this video. Let me know what you think about the Gauntlet game mode. Let me know if you're even playing Dauntless anymore, and the content that you'd like to see in the future. But I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace out. Have a good one.